Greetings, subscribers! I consider myself to be a huge fan of horror, but most of my favorite horror movies are from well before the year 2000. I'm not crazy about a lot of modern horror movies. Personally, I even felt It Follows was overrated. However, I absolutely loved Get Out by Jordan Peele. I can watch that movie time after time, never get bored, and always find something new in the script to appreciate. I also saw Peele's film Us, and that didn't click with me quite the same way Get Out did. I recognized the brilliance of Peele's script, how when you watch it a second time, you realize that literally every detail is a hint of the mystery you missed the first time. Still, while I don't want to give any spoilers, I will say that I felt certain elements of the ending were too much of a stretch for me, and I thought some questions were left unclear. Nevertheless, I definitely now consider myself a fan of Peele, and I would say that based on both Get Out and Us, while Peele is clearly a fan of horror movies from the past, and pays a little homage to classic horror movies in his work, he really seems to be a writer who creates his own original material from scratch. It seems hard to imagine Peele taking a horror movie which he did not work on, and then writing his own sequel to it. And yet, he's now done just that. In 1992, there was a horror movie called Candyman, and now Peele has written and produced, but not directed, a sequel to Candyman, which is scheduled to be released this year, 2020. The new sequel is simply being given the same title as the original film, which I think is kind of stupid. But anyway, I am very curious about Peele's upcoming sequel to Candyman, and I must admit, I hadn't seen the 1992 film since it was first released, and didn't really remember it very well. So I just watched it again this week to refresh my memory, and I thought it was pretty good. Much better than I remembered it being. I'll try to keep my spoilers as minimal as possible, but I probably won't be able to help giving away some. This film involves a baby in a ghetto, and my understanding is that in the upcoming sequel we'll see the baby's character, now as an adult, played by a different actor. I trust that Jordan Peele will come up with something interesting there, but I will just admit, if I were in charge of writing a sequel, that's not what I personally would focus on. The 1992 film had a supporting character named Jake, a young boy who grew up in the Chicago ghetto and knew all about Candyman. And that young actor who played Jake, named DeJuan Guy, gave a surprisingly strong performance. He seemed absolutely perfect for everything the role called for. I would compare his performance to that of Haley Joel Osment's in The Sixth Sense. So, if I were in charge of writing a Candyman sequel, or if you ask me what I would most like to see in a sequel, my initial thought would be to see the character of Jake, nearly 30 years later, played by the same actor, as someone who stayed around in the same area his whole life, watched the neighborhood change with time, but also remembers what it used to be, and is very welcoming to new residents and happy to tell them stories of what the neighborhood used to be. In my mind, this adult character would have many similarities to Judd Crandall in Pet Sematary, despite one character living in a rural Maine town and another living in a Chicago ghetto. Anyway, I saw actor DeJuan Guy in another film from 2001, and he was excellent in that as well. And according to his IMDb page, he's still actively appearing in many films and TV shows. So yeah, right now my initial thoughts are that Candyman sequel about Jake as an adult would be a lot more interesting than one about that baby as an adult. However, it's clear that Jordan Peele has different ideas than me, and I recognize that, goes without saying, Peele is a much smarter screenwriter than I am. Based on Get Out and Us, you have to think Peele will come up with something brilliant for Candyman. Nevertheless, I just think it's fun for YouTube to keep a record of what I'm thinking at this moment in time, so later when I actually see the Candyman sequel, I'll be able to look back and see just how good or bad my initial ideas seem. Will the sequel prove it didn't need Jake? Or will it seem like something was missing without him? Or who knows? I suppose there's even some slight chance Peele will actually see this YouTube video of mine, and then if he ever makes yet another Candyman sequel, feel inspired to bring back DeJuan Guy as Jake. And that's basically it. Those are my initial thoughts at this moment in time on the 1992 Candyman film, Jordan Peele, and the upcoming Candyman sequel. But as always, I'd like to hear some feedback from you viewers. Do you agree with me? Disagree? Or do you have other ideas you'd like to see in a Candyman sequel? Please leave it all in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more of my videos, then please feel free to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell. I would love to have you. Thank you.